Welcome back, ERB sports fans, to another video. In this video, we are going to talk about buying the card, not the grade. Now, I know. We have heard that phrase over and over and over again over the years. Whether it be buying a PSA slab, buying a BGS slab, buying a CSG slab, buying a CGC slab, buying a HGA slab, whatever you want to fill in for your three-letter acronym for the grading company that you use. In front of me, I have a 9.5 True Gem, all 9.5s, De'Aaron Fox, Silver Prism. Now, probably one of his best rookie cards as far as like a base parallel, not numbered. I got this at the Midwest Monster. I got it for $50 and on a trade-in for about $100 worth of a Trevor Lawrence card. So I was about into it for about $150, but to be honest, it's probably less than that because that Trevor Lawrence card, I pulled that out of like one of two fat packs I opened, sent it in under a $16 tier, got a 10 on it. Was happy to move off of that card and got my guy in what I would consider as a PSA 10. Now I use that in air quotes, PSA 10. Now, where am I going with this? I went to my LCS today to go get some supplies so I could make complete sets for the Platinum Anniversary. And in doing so, they had a De'Aaron Fox Fast Break Prism Silver, very similar to this card, but with the little dots or disco prisms on it. And it had a PSA 10 marked on it. And I asked to take a look at it. They had 165 marked on the card. And I thought, man, I just lost an auction the other night on the De'Aaron Fox Fast Break Prism. When I was going to bed, I put a bid of $133 on the card. It was also a PSA 10, and then I woke up, and sure enough, I lost it. I lost the bid, $135. So I asked the guy, I said, would you take $140 for the card? And he's like, nah, lowest I could go is $150 on this PSA 10. And my wife was with me, and she's like, hey, it's a PSA 10. And I said, yeah, but look at these little diamonds here on the bottom. I said, the card at the shop, that is way off center relative to the Silver Prism I remember getting. So one of the ways in which I like to kind of compare these cards, and I don't see anything wrong with this. If you're at a card show, by all means do this. But you kind of line the card up. You know, I've had a little Saquon Barkley base card. You line the card up with the top of one and the top of what would be the other and kind of see where you're at. And this one's a little off, maybe not a lot, but just a little bit off from perfect. I would say it's probably like a 55, 45, probably closer to like a 50, I guess I'd call it like a 53, 47 maybe. And the card at the shop, you know, I'm going to kind of tilt it, but the card at the shop, I don't know if you guys can see that, but if I were to hold it straight across, the 1V on one side and the 1V on the other side, or a little diamond, it had like multiple dots that I could see when I actually grabbed a card from a, you know, kind of commons case. And I'm like, is this card really centered? I'm like, it looks way off. And so sure enough, it was way off. And I thought, she's like, well, it's a PSA 10. Isn't that kind of all you wanted? And I said, well, yeah, but I also want to make sure that the copy I get is a good copy. I mean, I don't mean to be picky or anything, but if I'm going to pay $125 to $150 for a card, shouldn't I make sure that I'm actually buying a 10, not just somebody's opinion of a 10? And so when I bought this card at the Midwest Monster, one of the things that I was really, really careful of was like kind of comparing the little, you know, markers on the card when it came to centering. Because eye appeal to me is what makes or breaks this particular set of cards. When I look at like other cards, you know, if you have a little off-centered here or there, maybe you forgive them on that, but this one just presents itself really, really nice when it's perfectly centered or darn close to it. And in this case, this True Gem, I thought this was really close to a perfect 10, in my opinion. Now, what should I have done with that card? Well, obviously I didn't come home with the card, otherwise I'd be showing it to you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be on the lookout for that card. And every single time I see that card listed on eBay, every single time I see it at a card show, the first thing I'm going to do is recompare where it was centering wise and see if I could pick up the copy for less than $150 of the Disco Prism card that I saw today. for basically what I would argue is a better card. Now, if I have to buy it in a BGS slab, so be it. What's the future of this card for me? Am I going to take this card and crack it out and send it to PSA? Well, I don't know. True Gems right now on this particular card, market-wise, are about $240. In a PSA 10, though, they're pushing $350. So there is a pretty good premium, but the subgrades matter quite a bit. Considering that I'm only into this card for about, like, I'd argue $70, maybe a little more than that. I'm into this card for about 90 bucks. We'll call it $90. The 2 fat packs, $15 a piece, plus the $16 grading fee, a little bit of this or that, and I've got probably about $90 to $100 into that card. We'll call it $95. So would I take the risk of cracking this card out, resubmitting it for arguably another $100 when knowing that a Silver Prism PSA 9 would go for significantly less than this card is worth? I think that's a tough call. But again, it just goes to show you, buy the card, not the grade. I bought the card that I thought looked the best from the eye appeal from those copies that I've came across. The price was right, and I didn't care who actually graded it because I looked at the card. I know how to kind of judge centering on a card. I know how to judge edging on a card. I know how to judge surface and corners. Many people years and years ago, when this was probably graded, now I didn't look up the serial number, but when this was first graded, many people probably thought BGS, their quality grading. Now, the hobby kind of soured on them because of the pandemic. Will they ever regain their prestige? I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, this card is still just as good as a PSA 10, even though it goes for about $100 less. And I'm okay with that because even if I moved off the card and gave somebody else that opportunity to take the risk to try and issue it to a PSA 10, by all means, go take that risk. But when I get a PSA 10 in hand, it better well be centered. And that's one thing that I'm going to be very critical on from an eye appeal standpoint going forward. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Real quick lesson learned on buying the card, not the grade. I had a chance at a PSA 10 and a fast break prism for a fair price today, a little bit higher than I wanted to pay. But by all means, you had to look at the total image of the card. And in my opinion, the one that I looked at the LCS was way off-centered relative to this copy, which I had in my head when I went to their shop today. And I looked at that card and I'm like, man, I remember that Silver Prism being so much better than the one that I'm seeing here. And I had it in a BGS slab versus a PSA. So you can't necessarily judge a book by its cover when it comes to PSA versus BGS. In my opinion, PSA makes mistakes too. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What would you have done? Would you have bought the PSA 10 copy just to have it in your collection? Would you have passed on it like I did? Would you crack this card and resubmit it? I'm going to guess most of my viewers would probably say that, but hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.